Hi, I'm John Geckler for the Gib Singleton Museum in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and today I want to look at one of Gib's pieces called Migrant Worker. Now, they say that all art is autobiographical. I always love what the Italian director Fellini said. He said the pearl is the oyster's autobiography. And Gib definitely drew on his life experiences for his subjects and so on. But this one in particular comes right straight out of his life. This is not an allegory or a parable. This is life as Gib knew it. Because Gib was a sharecropper kid. He lived in the Boot Heel of Missouri during the Depression. I'm talking about in the depth of the Depression. This is 1935 when he's born. And they lived in a company shack, literally, and they bought their stuff at the company store. And at the end of the year, after the harvest, everything would be toted up, and if there was any overage, they'd pay off their bill to the store and they'd have some money. And sometimes they couldn't pay off their bill to the store, and then it just piled on with interest till the next year. So it was a tough life. So Gib's name was Gilbert Jerome Singleton. And when I asked him where that name came from, he kind of smiled, and his brother Jerry said he was named for the Gilbert Jerome Flour Company in Malden, Missouri. Because his parents, who were illiterate, used to take the sacks and they would make clothes. His mom would make his sister's dresses out of these Gilbert Jerome flour sacks. So Gib knew the people who worked on the farm. He knew the people who came through, and he worked on the farm from a very early age. By 3 or 4, he's out working. He's hoeing weeds out in the melon patch and the cotton patch. He's sowing winter wheat by hand, and he's riding a mule named Red, pulling a one-man plow that his dad Herschel is working, what they called a walking plow in those days. Up a furrow, down a furrow, back and forth. And he would ultimately actually make a bronze called Sodbuster based on his father and Red. So he knew the farm workers who were coming through, the migrant workers who were coming through. Mostly they were folks who'd been displaced from the lower south. So they were from Arkansas and Missouri and Oklahoma and Texas. And what happened was there was kind of a perfect storm. So after World War I, agricultural prices declined significantly. And mechanization began to take over a lot of the farms. And at the same time, because of the financial troubles, farms are getting foreclosed and people are getting bounced off of it. And then the real kicker was a 7-year drought. And today we call that the Dust Bowl. And it put hundreds of thousands, maybe even a few million people on the road trying to figure out how to stay alive, how to make a living, how to find work. And they moved back and forth. So from east to west, they would harvest citrus in Florida, and then they would harvest cotton in the upper south and lower south. They would do produce in California. They would do potatoes in Idaho. Wherever they could go and work, that's where they went. And you'll see pictures from the Depression, from the Farm Security Agency. And there will be people literally walking on the highways. They'll be pulling wagons with kids in them and with their stuff in them, maybe Model T Fords. I mean, it was a hard life. It was a John Steinbeck scene. And Gib understood that. Gib knew that. And in fact, Gib and his family were booted off the farm when he was about 5 because it got foreclosed too. And they lived in their car for a while until his dad was lucky enough to get a gig with the WPA building a bridge. So notice this piece. You can see the elongation in this piece. Now, that's a trademark of Gib. He liked to do that. And the way that he explained that was that living this kind of life, whether this kind of life is as a migrant farm worker, as a sheriff, as a saint, it thins you out. So here you can see she's been thinned down and stretched out by living that life. But the key point, look at her head. She's unbowed. She's unbroken. That homelessness, that hardship, that hunger, it hasn't broken her. It hasn't beaten her down. She's been sleeping in the backseat of cars, she's been sleeping under the stars, and she's still strong and she's still proud. Because despite the struggle, the work that she's doing is how she cares for the people she loves. Thanks for tuning in. I'm John Geckler for the Gib Singleton Museum.